Have you ever come across a septic tank like that?
No, I think the biggest septic tank I've ever done was, this is my memory. I've got one in Nigeria, which is about 138,000 liters, and that takes me about 2 to 3 days to clean out with one truck.
And how often do you clean it?
Well, that all depends. It's part of a shopping center, so it does get full quickly because it's not a small, it's a
So
whole
once a
complex,
month?
a whole cooking complex. So that's we usually do 2 3 times a year.
2 to 3 times a year for a shopping center with high volume and traffic. I kind of feel like I'm a different Andile today. I feel like I'm Andile on SABC One's Kumbulekaya. I feel like that's a show I'm presenting. I'll tell you why in just a second. But firstly, I have to say thank you so much to the Touchdown. It was such a sweet conversation between Touch and his son. He called his son and they had a conversation on air about his day at school. It was such a great conversation between father and son, and I love it. In a world that depicts, and rightfully so, because so many grow up without fathers, to show that there is a father that is available, a father that's there, a father that, in spite of the work that he's got to do that's so time consuming, still shows up for Zuri. It was a beautiful one. It made me call my kids and just say hey to all of them. It was really it was a nice touch from Tebow. It's 9 after the hour 6. They're back again tomorrow, making Magic Radio between 3 and 6. Today, I feel like Andile Khalishiwe, Abutiyo, but on Kumbulekaya, because I'm speaking to a man that did exactly that. He went home, Kumbulekaya, and that's the conversation we're going to be having today, and I'm looking forward to it, because 56-year-old, born on the 1st of June or July, back in 1967, is a man that is well-traveled when it comes to coaching. You can go to Platinum Stars, Free State Stars, Maritzburg United, Bafana, Dynamos Manning Rangers, South African under-20 team, Moroka Swallows, at Sundowns he was there, Kaiser Chiefs even, Bloom Celtic. He's really, really traveled, right? But it kind of feels like he's back home at Golden Arrows. And he returns home to a triumphant welcoming, a victory on the first day. But there's a lot I want to ask Steve Komphela about top coaches, because they say that top coaches come with their teams. Top coaches arrive fully fledged. You know the conversation we're having about Kaiser Chiefs, right? Is that they wanted a coach who said, yes, I'm bringing my team. You know the conversation we're having about Harvey Renard with Bafana, who said, yes, I come with my team. And we say, look at Pep, look at Mourinho, look at Ebitso even. Let's have a conversation about Steve Komphela. He joins us in a few. It's 13 after the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM. Welcome to it. I'm Andile Ncube. This is Sports Not Amplified with Andile. So over the last 24 hours, I've been inundated with people asking me what is a septic tank and what is the big fuss about a septic tank. Last night, we had Brawili. Brawili is a former NEC member at the South African Football Association. And one of the things that stuck out in the conversation we had with him was the fact that there's a 600,000 rands invoice that is paid to a company that cleans out the septic tank out at the South African Football Association every single month for 600,000 rands a month. Where he says at his home, where he's got a septic tank, he cleans it out every 5 years for 400 rands. So how much doo-doo are Safa really in? You can take that anywhere you want. We'll get into the conversation because we've got a septic tank specialist. Right, to meet a specialist. This is a company that does this every single day. This is what they do. They're a top company. They're going to come on and explain what a septic tank is, because we don't want to start conversations we don't end. Let's learn together. Let's educate. Malcolm, who presses the buttons here, says to me, Andile Minang, he's been Googling and he's been learning and he wants more information. So let's get into it a little bit and, do something non-football, but based on football. Now, let me go to our interview of the day. He joined us here over a month ago on a different conversation. Today, he joins us. So more than anything, we can say congratulations. Steve Komphela is on the line all the way from Dubai. And Steve, congratulations and welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. Good evening to you and the listeners, Papa.
Big brother, in preparation for this conversation, I reminded myself of where you've been. in a managerial position, and I thought back to, I'd even forgotten Manning Rangers. I'd forgotten Dynamos. I started it at Maritzburg United and under 20. Then it went to Free State Stars, Platinum Stars, back at Free State Stars. Then you were at Bafana Bafana as caretaker and assistant, back to Maritzburg United, Kaiser Chiefs, Bloemfontein Celtic, Golden Arrows, Sundowns, Moroka Swallows. You're a traveling man. If Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Hey, lesilungu sakho sizongiphazamisa kodwa ke azongibiza upapa next time angithi ngihambe estradini bazothi papa. Hey ma, it's been a long journey, Tata, and exactly what you just mentioned. But it has never been easy. It is not easy. It will never be easy. The same as life, Tata. When you go to the clinic, when you're in hospital, and you're lying on bed, and God forbid, let's hope you'll just be there to recover from stress. The machine that shows the heart rate has got the line that is so inconsistent with the ups and downs, which is a sign that says, no, there's life in the body lying on this bed. The minute that line goes flat, it is the end of our life. So when we approach our lives with their ups and downs, it has to be embraced in the context that the minute it goes flat, there's no more anything to go for. It's the end of the road. So it's been ups and downs. I welcome the current ups and downs. There's still going to be ups and downs that need to be welcomed. But there's been quite a number of things that one looks back and say, okay, this one you can look at. Just go Free State Stars, ma. In fact, let me first start with Bafana. You have the good squad 2010. The players that one had an opportunity to work with, I'm sure easily could have been a 10 to 11. You're talking Ukune, Ukaka, Mafile, Ukumalo, Lance David, Kahisiri Hachu, Kubone, Bernard Parker, Kato Hompela, Spiro Shabalal, Rene Sulonian. At youth level, we had the opportunity to interact with these players at youth level, and that's people development. Then go Free State Stars, there's a stage where I don't know how many players from Free State Stars had swarmed the league. You can go back and think of Abo Manti Muhol, Abo Dankene, Abo Mpumakola, Abo Gaba, Abo Matlaba. There was just a lot. That's also part to working with people and trying to see that can they then be part of a process that helps others. But sometimes it becomes so difficult when you quickly forget that the importance in leadership should not only be put to the position, but predominantly to the development of others. And just in short, Kemaje, before I could field your questions and be part of your conversation, if I were to sit down and look at how many players one had the opportunity to work with and who are coaches today, it is crazy. And congratulations to Yeyele Tulonyan. He's just made it for the under 20. Unoa Chivuta is outside the country working. Vincent Kobola, Kurt Lenkis, Masilo Mudubi in Belgium, Dane Clay, Walter Kumalo, Mpomaleka, David Matebula, Tato Maleka, Tsepo Musene, James Madibilani, Tabo Masho, Siabonga Mzuli, Paulos Masie, Duncan Lichisa. There's just a lot. Manje saying Sanga Nopila Nkula was shocked when we had a discussion last. He was telling me, Coach, the first encounter we had was when you had called us for under 23. Because I spent the better part of my coaching career, Kuma national teams as well, which then covered the whole period of being in the PSL, being with the Federation, being with the PSL and Federation. And there's this thing about working in environments, I work in an environment, maybe then I move on, then I get another great opportunity to be invited back. And the result of working in an environment, leaving the environment, and being called back, points at nothing else than the work you do as you leave it clean. And those who are working with the project, they realize that, no, but this thing was clean. We can always invite this guy. ngesisuthu ke bathi uskanyela sidiba.
Hayi cha,
You don't,
injalo.
you don't damage. Angifuni ukukhuluma isilungu lesi esingalungile. On the table, you know that you're gonna be eating from.
You don't defecate. That is very true.
Yeah,
That is very
so
true.
that's what I've been blessed with, and I sincerely appreciate even the support of people. When you come back, they still receive you. When you go, you try your utmost best not to be muddy, or sometimes when you live in environments that are slightly in rainy days, you are likely to be muddy, but you still want to maintain some level of sanity and dignity, even though it won't make sense. Because how would it make sense when you're living in an environment that is slightly out of sense?
Well, I must tell you, the decorum obviously shows because you keep going back, and that was my highlight, to the same places, meaning, people are saying this was a decent person and a good coach you once worked with. Let's speak about your current app, because you've got a new job. You are the head coach at Golden Arrows. It's two particular things that I want to speak about. Firstly, what is the conversation when they give you a call, Steve? What are you being asked and tasked to do at Golden Arrows? Looking at the shape of Golden Arrows at the moment, what is that contract looking like? What is it for? And how long is it for, perhaps, that you're going to be finding yourself in Durban again?
Yeah. At times, there are times where negotiation and time frames mean nothing, especially when the relationships are deep and they touch the heart than actually touch the point of the pen. Attaching ink to paper could dry tomorrow, but the lives you affect and the change you make in other people's lives is not the same as the ink you put on paper. So one thing with Golden Arrows, no Mato, that I had worked with Golden Arrows, no Coach Manza, and everybody else I had worked with before, it was such a great working relationship, very intimate environment, very small, one would say, but unbelievably effective. So when you come back here, then they propose to you to say, listen, you out of a job currently, and are you available to assist? We have a project that we need to put to another level. If and when you are available, could you be part of it? The minute they unpack the project to you, then you realize that, listen, this makes sense with me, and it can only help me as well by going in and being part of others. And by the way, I was not attached to anybody. And then it gave me then the opportunity to say, no man, let me go back again, your sebenza noma butikanyeza and sebenza noma usapila nkulu. And it will then go back to what you said, Uguti. When you join a club, do you always want to go there alone, or you bring your entourage?
Yeah, and the thing around that, Steve, is we regard you as a top coach, and to have coached the players, the teams that I've mentioned, and the players that you've groomed and given life to, it's top coach. You get to Swallows, you're given a Musa, you get to Chiefs, you were given an assistant there. I think it was Zwane that you were given as an assistant there even. You get to Golden Arrows now. The wonder is Mabuti staying? Surely that should have been a conversation that I would think that you would have had with Umamato. And you're given that assistant as well. Whereas I know for in fact that, you were very comfortable working with Mandla Ncube. And one wonders, is Steve not at the level, or is he of a different opinion than a coach arrives with his team in order to properly, Pizzo, he was the same, he's the same in the way that he works, to properly help articulate and pass on the message that he wants when his full team is on the same wavelength as him?
I think you make perfect sense, Ma. It's easier to assemble your own team and have your entourage, in the sense that when you step onto the field the next day, as soon as you've agreed on a few things with the club, immediately your conditioning coach knows what day is it. MD-2, we are going to play Polokwane. Okay, what do you do MD-2? This is what we do. Next day -1, this is what we do. And the pre-training meeting, as soon as everybody knows that, okay, let's start with the medics report, who's available, who's not. After medic, fitness coach, how are you lining up today? And coaches, how do we set up a training? They all know that. But when you come alone with people you've never worked with before, you need to explain yourself and bring them along. But one thing that I picked up is that not all clubs have the capacity to load the new staff as an entourage who come with the coach. Here and there you could find one or two. Even at national level, when we employ a national coach, you would find that there's a need for a local assistant so that there's identity that stays within the federation and people can identify with the team, and the assistant coach as well. You unpack the team, the culture of the nation to the incoming coach and so forth. So at club level, when that happens, you go in and you are alone. You have to make it a point that you don't feel insecure. Insecurity is the worst enemy in all environments. But again, trust could be dangerous in the sense that when you put trust in and you enter an environment that's got a lot of landmines, people who are not honest, people who are, in fact, people who are lying are people who are fearful. And people who are fearful are people who lie because they are scared. But when you enter an environment, it's very important that you open up, be yourself, don't feel insecure, and receive information as much as you're going to give information. And the beauty of it is that I have worked here before. Administratively, people they know me. I was in the office almost the whole day. I came back around after 4 or 5 because I was doing administration. The ladies in the office, they know me. I have worked no Musa. I have worked no Mabuti and a lot of other players. But they have not worked with me
in this capacity.
Yes, so I need to make them understand how I think. And I do not impose yourself. You can't get a buy-in, explain yourself, let them understand why you're doing this so that they can have a contribution now. You don't come to an environment and start dictating, but you fuse into an environment whilst effecting positive change. Left, Mount Gena, they're going to have a problem of being received because of Zanyento Zako. And also it's one ability, the ability to do that. And somebody said to me, but next time you get a job, make sure that you go alone. There are moments where you enter into a job, my ass, and things are just tough, and you can feel like, no, man. The people around you are not willing to accept the things that I want to effect or the change that I want to bring. But don't move in with the idea that you want to change the environment. Move in with the understanding that you want to be part of the change in the environment, and then you have your ways of manipulating things positively, that there be good cohesion, teamwork, so that we can then get results. Because without teamwork, cohesion, and togetherness, there will never be emotional glue. And without emotional glue, there's no performance. Forget it.
So then the conversation with you and the chairperson is that Mabuti stays. Is this your call? Is this their call saying Mabuti stays and he's then under some sort of mentorship under you?
Yes, I don't want to lie to you. There are certain things that you just feel as a leader, it is your primary responsibility. Come to think of it. If I throw that with the chair lady and we start discussing it, the first thing she's going to say is that, Steve, is he now uncomfortable in Kosiam? Because her primary responsibility is to see to my comfort within the working environment so that we can be productive. But the minute I start throwing a chair ball, that on its own is unsettling to her. But that discussion never took place because, I don't know, for whatever intuition, I just felt, no, I'll work with Mabuti. And I'll work.
So it was never discussed. You just figured Musa and Mabuti will be there and will work, and she figured you'll know they'll be there, and that was that.
And Lalela, where it was, and I think it was one of the best decisions that I took, not to even have a discussion around that. I came here to assist the club because even when you look at how things were happening, just unlucky that this team was not winning matches. If you look at how we played the FNB against Kaizer Chiefs, it was such a fluid performance, good performance and all that. Just that, and then we missed our goals and all that. Now, when you come to let me touch a nerve now and stop being more legal. Let me touch the moral part of humanity. Because in everything that we do in our life, we have a legal obligation. But beyond the legalities, there's morality. You come in here when Steve Komphela, okay, I'm through Serenza Nomunto Cheese. This guy loses their job, man. How many people are out there without jobs? Than this person to lose their job Is there a way you can find a way to work together? When you realize that icon, man, it's creating conflict, still without fighting, just ask that, man, let's find a way to separate matters without you suffering a setback. If there's anything that has to do with humanity, we should never achieve anything in our lives. And when you look back, you counted the number of skulls and people that you destroyed, whose throats you cut, and some are still bleeding, and the heads are still rolling out of pain. And when you think you are moving towards success, but success is painful. We don't need that.
But what about, I hear you, morality and humanity is what you're speaking about.
Yeah.
What about the pursuit of success? What about the pursuit of brilliance and the pursuit to be the best? Can you then, in that case, carry others, and not necessarily umaputi, but we're generalizing here in, people losing their job. Would you then carry dead logs so that you're a great human?
There's a price for everything. And unfortunately, our prices or our prizes are going to differ. There are moments where you feel, I will still make a difference in terms of performance and results without crushing heads. And if I make minimal progress while gaining and earning a lot of wonderful souls and improving people, so be it. And there are moments where you become ruthless and say, you know what, I'm just going to be selfish, I'm going to be greedy, I don't want anything to do with anybody I'm not used to, I want my people because this is about me. And unfortunately, we wired and brought up differently. I haven't been in a position where I have to take a decision that serves me alone. Most of the decisions that are taken by any person who's in a position where they are privileged to lead, it has to be decisions that also recognize the existence and the emotions of those around him. It's very important. That's my philosophy, and we differ.
No, for sure. I mean, many don't see it in that way, Stephen. I said here on Monday, was it Tuesday, whenever the announcement was made, that I am happy that Maputi gets to, relieve the pressure of himself, get to learn from a senior coach, and perhaps one day return to a chair that he once held with a lot more experience. Back to the expectations of the club. In that conversation with Umamato, the chair lady, what is the expectation of the club to Steve Komphela? 7 games without a win, then they won 1, and then there was, I think, another 4 without a win, bad losses of 3-2, not scoring a lot of goals up until now when you've scored another goal, and when you've won a game. I think the last win before that was that against you, in fact, in the PSL, when they beat Swallows 3-0, but 11 games that had gone uncalled for, 3 against Amazulu, twice, in fact, in the cup and in the league as well. 3 against TS Galaxy. It's a team that was bleeding points. It's a team that wasn't looking great. So in that, they come to you. What is the expectation? What must Steve do?
I think the first conversation that we had with Sismato, it was quite clear and very calm and very composed, without any messages of panic or stress. Was the acceptance of the current circumstances and the position of the team, and also audit of the squad, and pointing at the philosophy of the club itself. And those were all pointers that when I looked at, I realized that, no, man, they're still okay. And even when we went on our first talk, the first thing that I said to them is that they got to enjoy the moment, because, listen, they are at the best position ever beyond any other team in the PSL, because they are the only people who've gone through a patch of this nature. And if you have gone through a patch of this nature, you're stronger than anyone who's never been through the pain. You paid the price. The price you paid, the pain you went through, has assisted you to grow. So all we need now, let go of what happened, try step forward, and embrace the challenge with the understanding that, listen, we are grown-ups now. The setbacks we had before, we need to make a comeback, and then we move on. And it happened. And I said to them, a win is easily going to take us into the top 8. Another win will progress us. Do you want to tell me, if you were that bad or we were that bad, just a win pushes us into the top 8. Do you want to tell me that we're that bad? So I'm trying to reflect on, sometimes you have to forget emotions and look at facts. Be more objective than subjective. And I need to look at that. We did it in Polokwane. When it came there, we were number 8, and everybody said, but how come? Because it hadn't been as bad as we felt. Sometimes you have to look at facts and not be clouded by emotions and all that. So these are all things we had a chat, Mrs. Mato. And then when she said, okay, and then all that, and all that, the ambition is that, she even said it herself, but to come work here, let's find this team into the top 8, and then start building from there, which I found that to be reasonable and fair. Honestly, it's reasonable and fair. Well, there's ambition with everyone. Everybody wants to win championship. Everybody wants to be the top team in the country. But it is work that you must put in. And sometimes, because of the nature of us as human beings, the greed, the desire, the selfishness, we tend to forget that, listen, there's other people who need to come along and be part of the process towards the ecology.
So then, Steve, you're a coach that's been around and worked with so many international and local. You've been part of very resourced teams. So I can imagine the first thing you do is some sort of SWOT analysis of what the issue, what the challenge could have been at Golden Arrows and why the results weren't coming under Maputi. So you sit down, you won the first game, which means whatever it is that you analyze, whatever it is that you said, let's plug here first, worked in that first game. What did you identify as some of the challenges at Golden Arrows?
As if you were part of the pre-match interview, the interviewer asked me, Guti, what have you observed? And we have to be honest in life. Sometimes saying things as if when you've got this magic stick and all that you change things, not when a magician. I said to the interviewer, I would be lying to you if I were to say to you, this is what I've observed and analyzed in 2 days. I arrived on a Friday. I watched the session on Saturday. We did a walkthrough and final prep, and then we went to Polokwane, and then we played on Sunday. So literally we had one session. Now, when you ask me this, I will respond in the same manner that I responded with the interviewer in Polokwane, that I got information from them. There's nothing that I can pride myself of in terms of observation. Yes, you can observe a training session, and then the second training session. You don't even know all the names by heart, if you are to be honest. So what you get is feedback and information from the team, like trust them. And then I asked Abo Mabuti and everybody else, guys, just on top of your head, what is it that you think we needed to do? Or what is it that is maybe a bit of a glitch with us? And then I was given 2 indicators. One, that when we are in possession going forward, the counterattacks are killing us and then we concede. Then you understood that, okay, we are conceding. It's normal you'll concede, but how you concede, it is purely because you were in possession, you lose possession, and then you get countered. And then I have to provide a solution for that. Immediately, when they give me a problem, I start thinking a solution. Then they said, Coach, we also have a problem in the final third man. We don't create as many chances. And I've seen a few games of theirs. They do create. Maybe it's just a question of consistently generating goals in a way that is intentional. Now, when they say we are not creating, then I'm saying, then it's about attack. And then I said to them, listen, gentlemen, there's 3 things we are going to look at in Polokwane. When we attack, we concentrate on our rest defense. That when we lose the ball, when they come, we are set. We did suffer a few counterattacks, but we defended a bit decently. That was rest defense. Secondly, let's look at our rest attack. If we are then defending, can we have knocks? Can we have wisdom? Can we have the offensive players ready to receive the ball as soon as we regain possession from the opponent so that we can use our speed, our skill and movement going forward? That as well was a theme. The last one, because you can't give them too many things. These guys are going to forget. They are no machines. You don't load data and then press a button and expect feedback from a hard drive. No. Then I said the third one, let's try utilize what we have, which is the speed on the side. We need to have a lot of one-on-one. 3 things: rest defense, press attack, and let's create one-on-ones. We have to be painful on the side. And ask me who was man of the match. Number 38, Umtanti on the right, a winger. So when
he hadn't played in the previous match against Chiefs, so he was part of the 3 players that were brought on for this match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, okay. These are some of the things that you don't even want to mention, because then you don't want to come across as if when you came up with this idea. But Lomfana, we were Slimmers. I was at Swallows when we played. Was it Carlin Black Label Cup? Yes. He scored a goal. Lomfana was Slimmers or League. I don't remember. He scored. He's short. He's quick. Very skillful, and he needs to be given confidence. So I said, keep it simple, Steve. Keep it simple. Just go general. But one good thing that I think we did in that match was to stay on our legs for 90 minutes, play with them. Playing with a team has a huge influence because you give them the energy, you work with them, so you become the 12th player. Even though sometimes by the time the match comes to an end, you are finished, you are tired. But we had to do that in support to them because, one, the voice itself, as soon as it's time to press, when you request them, let's go again, it urges them to press relentlessly. When they regain possession and the voice comes from the bench, Mlande, go.
Coach, please hold it there. Please hold it there for 2 seconds. We're going to come back and just wrap it up in a few. I need to take a quick ad break. It's exactly 18:44 on the Mighty Metro FM. We do have Steve Komphela on the line. It's a brief conversation of congratulatory messages from us, really, to pass on to a man I call Big Brother. And I think in this conversation, you might have heard why. He's got a tough journey ahead of him with Golden Arrows to keep them in the top 8. They are there at the moment. And when he puts it like that, one wonders, why did we think they were doing bad? Yes, they were losing a lot of games, but they're sitting in 8th after 1 win. What does that say about the rest of the DSTV Premiership? A conversation for another day. Steve, all the very best. Can't wait for you to begin your season there. I mean, with, almost 10 games to go. Gives you an opportunity to start over next season again. You've seen the team now. You've had a little bit more time than when you got there. Do you feel you've got enough of a team and the players that you've got now to complete the season with what you've been given as, I want to say, mandate? Yeah.
I think the first thing that one has to concede, which may also be an indicator to young and upcoming coaches. I came here with a small bag on Friday. I observed the training session, went to Polokwane. I only got my stuff from Johannesburg to Durban. When you first come into an environment, be part of that environment. Play to the strength of the team you find. I cannot play to the strength of the team that I wish to have that is not here. So it is also very important to play to the strength of the team that we have, Golden Arrows. And I'm comfortable with that. And just in general, Tata, I think our biggest problem is to concentrate on the middle level of leadership where we are vying for production. And in production, it's all about results. But that midsection in leadership, production, forget. Because above that, there's a level where there's people's development. Then there's pinnacle, which is the top level of leadership. So it's pinnacle above. Below pinnacle is development of people. But the production is just number 3 in the middle. But there's 2 other levels below. The lowest level of leadership is just a position. And then you have a level where they say to you, now we grant you permission. Then you have a position at Arrows as a coach. You come across, you deal with people, then they grant you permission to lead them. As soon as they grant you permission to lead them, and then you'll move towards the production. And when you produce enough, level like Manjula City, it's a level of we want results. Then try develop people, man. Because at the end of the day, you're going to come and go, but what you leave behind? After development of people is pinnacle. What you represent. When you are dead, when people look back and think about Andile, they must have Andile and what he represented. The late, great Nelson Mandela all of us knew what he stood for, what he represented. That is pinnacle.
Steve, it's always a great conversation when we link up. When I get to Durban, I'll hit you up. We work for the same people in other quarters, so I'll come and say hi.
The fish is on me, Tata.
Thank you. Steve,
Thank you.
Big Brother Komphela, coach out at Golden Arrows. I want to take your calls on your WhatsApps. I see they've come in, but we just need to have a quick conversation, man. A very quick conversation just to get clarity and understanding on one small thing called a septic tank. I'm from Mzimkhulu, Kukwini, so I'm Baka in some, my mother, Lipaka, and we're known as the people that clean septic tanks, in fact, across South Africa. When we got to Joburg, that's the job that we had more than any other. Timmy, do we have that call? Right, Timmy's making that call now. And then I'd love to hear from you. This is just about a septic tank for those that were asking. And we're going to speak to, I'm told, Lawrence Dutoit, who works for Dump Truckers, who's an expert at these things. Dump Truckers were established in 2007. They offer dump truck services in Gauteng and South Africa. They're the leading company when it comes to waste management. Septic tank, of course, the city must still sends number 2. Squads with his figure. But let's, do we have something to play first? Okay, cool, play it.
Fun Valley, there were guys who were actually taking storage from some Fun Valley. Those guys were charging almost like 600,000 a month to take the storage. So I queried in a meeting to say, no, I'm using the same system where I'm staying. For me...
What is it, a septic tank?
Septic tank.
Okay.
Yeah. I said, I pay, if I've paid more money, is when I pay 400 something.
Yeah.
So the CFO said, no, give us the name of the company so that we can confirm. I gave them the name of the company. They phoned the company. The company went straight to Van Willy to go and check, and they gave a report that the guys are ripping you off. We will do this with less than 500.
Yet Safa was paying 600,000
a month.
I don't know much about much, but let's find out here. Lawrence?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Very well, yourself.
No, I'm very well, man. You know a lot about septic tanks.
Yeah, I'm just about. Yeah.
How long have you worked?
Years.
How long? Oh, 13 years you've been doing this.
Yes.
If you were to explain to someone what a septic tank is, what would you say?
Well, a septic tank is a simple system in the ground where your municipal lines has not been laid yet. So this is your farming areas, your plot areas, and any company that's on a rural area where there's no municipal supplies, or municipal sewer lines. So you'll be digging a simple hole in the ground with a concrete structure or plastic structure with a separating system. So it will keep your sewage on the one side and your water on the next side, and that will separate into the ground in a French drain system. That's basically how it works.
So tell me this, the biggest one that you've ever encountered, how often does it need cleaning, and how much is the going rate for cleaning one?
Yeah, well, sometimes it differs, because a small septic tank can cost you, say plus minus, say for interstate 2,500 rand, and that's for about 4,000 liters. That's about an average plot size family septic tank.
And you clean that out in how often?
It all depends how busy the house is. If there's only 4 people staying, you can clean that thing out between a year and 10 years. I've had septic tanks that's been around for 35 years that's never been cleaned out.
Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario, and you can imagine any septic tank you want, the smallest one to the biggest one. If I've got a septic tank that I'm cleaning out every month for 600,000, what would you say to something like that?
It doesn't make sense.
What do you mean?
No, that doesn't make sense. I mean, how big must that septic tank be? I mean, you should be running 6 or 7 trucks, on a permanent basis to clean out a septic tank like that.
Have you ever come across a septic tank like that?
No, I think the biggest septic tank I've ever done was, it's just my memory. I've got one in Nigeria which is about 138,000 liters, and that takes me about 2 to 3 days to clean out with one truck.
And how often do you clean it?
Well, that all depends. It's part of a shopping center, so it does get full quickly because it's not a small, it's It's a
So
whole
once a
complex
month?
or cooking complex. So that's that we usually do 2-3 times a year.
2 to 3 times a year for a shopping center with high volume and traffic.
Not that big yet. It's still developing, but
But it's a shopping
okay.
center. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, listen.
It's not like your big Cresta centers or something like that. It's a normal spa with a couple of shops, and that's about it.
But I mean you can imagine the amount of people, different people there every day going in. Okay, we just wanted to get an understanding and but you've put it there. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Lawrence.
No, it's no problem. No problem.
Lawrence Detroit.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Malcolm, give me a thumbs up or down. Are you happy? Okay, let's take a break and come back with your voice now.
Yes, good evening, Andile. This is Mike from Cape Town. We're happy that you brought that coach in the studio. And also we wish him well for his new adventure, Golden Arrows. And also we saw that he won for his first game. Andile, we respect much of that guy because he knows. And he's a well-traveled coach. Much respect needed for him. And also we are happy that whenever you call upon on him, he's coming to studio to answer questions. That is good, and we appreciate for his wonderful job he's doing in South African football. Big up Andile for the show. This is Mike from Cape Town.
Sure, Andile. Jimmy Motokwa, Veke Motokwa. Yes. It's good for Arrows to bring coach Steve Komphela. Steve Komphela is a good coach. But me, Gesola, the Plara di sije maputri fase. Why udu we Steve Komphela ba to win? Or ba chaba skhwa? Or ba chaba maybe Steve gi teacher? Or maybe Steve wa par di empty white? The Plara di sabontile maputri. But good luck Steve.
Boy.
But nagesola di Plara ja rose. Gostege Maputi Kanyisa wa unurta Komphela ba win game ya matromena ke sola di Plara tangandile motwa veke sakala thank we love you Metro FM, thank you.
The Ace and the listeners, good evening. Coach Steve, Kimita Morena. Yeah, now he'll understand. He's from the Free State. Morena, he's the best coach. He's just an amazing human being, and we thank God with the talent and the humanity of someone like Coach Steve. Morena, you making us proud. Thank you, Morena.
Molo ma uthetha no abuyile bafana beGqeberha. Yema koze kube nini sikhala ngorefri kule DStv yethu. Koze kube nini sikhala ngorefri kule DStv. Izikhalo zethu aziviwo kuba every match siyakhala ngorefri. Orefri ipenalty eziclear abazinikezi izolo kwimatch yeSuperSport neSundowns. iSundowns ifumana ipenalty phakathi kulotch. Befana iSuperSport ifumene ipenalty ngoLando ngoGopra. Kodwa urefa akazinikezelanga. Hayi kunzima kule PSL. Yo.
Let me take Xolisa. Xolisa's out in Johannesburg. Wants to speak about Steve. We just had Steve Komphela, of course, the coach at Golden Arrows. Xoli.
Brahma, we are so lucky as a nation to have a human being called Steve Komphela in sports. Listening to your show today was like I felt like I was in a lecture room listening to a professor giving lectures. You just sum it up by this last guy who was telling us about those tanks. I don't even know how to call that tank for SAPA, the one that was clean, the ones that were clean.
A septic tank. Septic tank.
Yes, that tank. This guy, he just broke it down nicely for us, so we all understand what is this tank all about.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now catch me on Sport at 10 this evening. I'm going to be joined by Buhle Samuels. She's back on Mubango and she's going to tell us about the return of Matsidiso and so much more. From myself and my entire team. Hey man, septic tank. Pela,